Yeah, 11:3, 14 to 16. So thank you for attending class. Following in the footsteps of the sages of Naimisharanya. They asked Suta Goswami, please tell us of the discourse between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami. We are gathered here today to perform yajna. So we have 9 forms of yajna. Hearing and chanting are especially important, powerful by the grace of Gaunitai in Kali Yuga. What is this? Okay, please finish by 9 o'clock. In Sukadev and Parikshit it was 7 days. So, Hare Krishna. So there's 3 verses today, so we'll go through those very quickly and then get to the purport. The purport is very interesting and very well written. Aha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Brihvakacharya, Tarasi Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Asa Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Brihvakacharya, Tarasi Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Shri Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai, Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Lalit Vishaka Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapsha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So, today, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, Liberation from Illusory Energy. That is chapter 3. Today's verses are 14, 15, and 16. So, I'll recite the Sanskrit, then give the English of the verses. So, number 14. Rita rupam tu tamasa vayu jyoti praliyate. Rita sparsho vakakshena vayu nabashi liyate. Kalatma rita gunam nava atmani liyate. Translation. Fire, derived of its form by darkness, dissolves into the element air. When air loses its quality of touch by the influence of space, the air merges into that space. When space is deprived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Soul in the form of time, space merges into false ego in the mode of ignorance. Number 15. Indriyani mano buddhye saha vaikari kai nripa pas vishanti hi yankaram swaguner aham atmani. Translation. My dear king, the material senses and intelligence merge into the false ego in the mode of passion from which they arose, and the mind, along with the demigods, merges into false ego in the mode of goodness. Then the total false ego, along with all its qualities, merges into the Mahatattva. Text number 16. Esa maya bhagavata sarga stiti antakarini trivarna vani tha ma bi kim bhuya shrotam ichyasi. Translation. I have now described Maya, the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This illusory potency, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is empowered by the Lord for creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear? So, does anyone want to chant? We'll have two people. Yes, Sharanga. Chant the Sanskrit there. Satisfied? Okay. So we'll go to the purport. King Nimi had expressed to the Navayogendras his fear of all the illusory potency of the Lord, and had requested a detailed explanation of Maya so that he could avoid becoming a victim at her hands. Now Sri Antariksha, having described the illusory potency, is suggesting that the king inquire about the means to become totally free of Maya's influence. Not waiting for the king to ask such a question, Sri Antariksha himself is suggesting, now that you have heard about Maya's influence, you should inquire about the process of becoming free of such influence. According to Sri Daswami, that is the significance of Sri Antariksha's question to him. Kim bhuya shrotam ihasi. What more do you wish to hear? The following is a summary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's explanation of the process of annihilation described in the previous verses. Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the presiding deity of consciousness, which becomes manifest within the Mahatattva. By further transformation of the Mahatattva, the threefold false ego appears as follows. von Vaikarika, false ego in the mode of goodness, appears in the 11th sense, the mind, whose presiding deity is Aniruddha. From Taijasa, false ego in the mode of passion becomes intelligence, while whose presiding deity is Pradyumna, and the 5 working senses and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses with their various presiding deities. 3. From false ego in the mode of ignorance arises the subtle form of sound, and from that sound, or shabda, all the material elements gradually become manifest, beginning with ether and the sense of hearing. The presiding deity of these 3 divisions of false ego is Shankarshan. This description is taken from chapter 26 of 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, verses 21, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, and 35. The Supreme Personality of Godhead's external potency, Maya, causes the birth, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. She is tree-colored, red, white, and black. In her red feature, the material nature is created. In white, it endures, and in black, it is annihilated. The Mahatattva arises from this Maya, and from the Mahatattva come the 3 varieties of false ego mentioned above. At the time of annihilation, the 5 great elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, merge into false ego in the mode of ignorance, from which they were originally generated. The 10 senses and intelligence merge into false ego in passion, and the mind, along with the demigods, merge into false ego in the mode of goodness, which then merges into Mahatattva, which further takes shelter of Prakriti, or unmanifest Pradhan. As described above, each of the gross elements is wound up when its distinguishing quality is removed. The element then merges into the previous element. This can be understood as followed. In space, or ether, there is the quality of sound. In air, there are the quality of sound and touch. In fire, there are sound, touch, and form. In water, there are sound, touch, form, and taste. And in earth, there are sound, touch, form, taste, and aroma. Therefore, from ether down to earth, each element is distinguished by the addition of its own unique quality, called guna vivesham. When that quality is removed, an element becomes non-different from its previous element and thus merges into it. For example, when great winds take aroma away from earth, earth contains only sound, touch, form, and taste, and thus becomes non-different from water, which then into which it merges. Similarly, when water loses its rasa, or taste, it contains only sound, touch, and form, thus becoming non-different from fire, which also contains those 3 qualities. So the wind takes away aroma to merge earth into water, and takes away taste to merge water into fire. Then the universal darkness removes form from fire, fire merges into air, space then removes the sense of touch from air, and air merges into space, which means ether. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the time element, removes sound from space, and space then merges into false ego in the mode of ignorance, from which it arose. Finally, false ego is merged into Mahatattva, which is merged into the unmanifest Pradhan, and thus the universe is annihilated. Mukham karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Verse number 14. Fire, derived of its form by darkness, dissolves into the element air. When the air loses its quality of touch by the influence of space, the air merges into that space. Space means ether. When space is derived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Soul in the form of time, space, and space merges into false ego in the mode of ignorance. My dear king, the material senses and intelligence merge into false ego in the mode of passion from which they arose, and the mind, along with the demigods, merges into false ego in the mode of goodness. Then the total false ego, along with all its qualities, merges into the Mahatattva. Number 16. I have now described Maya, the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This illusory potency, consisting of three modes of material nature, is empowered by the Lord for creation, maintenance, and annihilation of material universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear? So yes, the important phrase here is empowered by the Lord for creation, maintenance, and annihilation. We know from Bhagavad Gita, Sutre Mani Gana Iva, everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. Now, we've been miseducated through Kali Yuga with the concept that everything arises from a Big Bang and the material energy is supervised by the laws of physics, right? If you want to understand modern physics or chemistry or biology, you only need 5 words to understand what this foolish idea is. Nothing, bang, everything. Examine everything and then interpret it back to nothing, bang, everything. Right? 5 words. There was nothing. Nothing cannot exist. Nothing, by definition, means the absence of anything. Look in your dictionary. So how is there something to explode? But there's a bang. Now, they say Big Bang, but if there's no creation yet, how do you know if it's a big bang or a small bang? And then everything is here. Oh, la la. So you have 2 basic and logical ideas. And then, if you want to get your grant and maintain your position in these temples of ignorance, you examine the everything, but make sure you don't say there's a designer. Don't say there's a creator, that there is an achintya, empowered personality that is creating this. No, interpret it back to nothing, bang, everything. Of course, they have monthly magazines, and they give you a new variation on the theme, and they say this is the new idea. So this is the new ignorance. They're going from one mistaken idea to another mistaken idea to another mistaken idea, and then they say this is progress of knowledge. Progress of knowledge, in their terminology, is to go from one mistaken theory, which they admit is improved by this mistaken theory. This is mistaken, and then we'll have another theory. So their idea of knowledge is to go from one stupid idea to the next. But whatever you cannot say is, there's a designer. So the Vaishnavas, we have 5 words also. If we want to use aroha, that means our senses, we also look at the everything. And then we see, what do we see? There's design. There's not only design within the atom of the molecule, but there is design in the universe. We see heating, cooling, seasons, all interplaying on the massive scale, and we see our own existence. And we see that everything is interwoven in a wonderful way. So we say everything design. That means what? What's the next word? Designer. If there's design, there must be a designer. And if there's a designer, he's the creator. So we say everything, examine it, that's the second word. Everything, examine, design, designer, creator. But they are such envious rascals, these scientists, they cannot come to the conclusion that there is a supreme designer, a supreme creator, because they'll lose their money, their cash, they'll be thrown out, they'll lose their position in their temples of ignorance. So, remember that. Nothing, bang, everything. Examine, interpret, nothing, bang, everything. But we say, yes, look, there's everything, there's design. Sorry, we say, yes, there is everything. There is, we examine it and we see design. We say, then there's a designer, then there must be a creator of that design. So, this is Kali Yuga, and everyone is miseducated. But in this phrase here, we say everything is empowered. They are looking at chemical or physical explanations for the creation, but they don't want to accept Achintya Shakti. What? I'm Achintya. Don't you know I have an office and a big salary? And PhD behind my name? PhD means plow department. Go in the field and learn something useful. So anyway, instead of misleading people and spending all the tax money on useless endeavors, like your fake moonshot. So anyway, how is the world created? It is created by the Achintya Shakti. So this is the winding up. King Nimi, this is a reported conversation between King Nimi and the Navayogendras. Antariksha, who is mentioned, is one of the Navayogendras. And this was reported by Narada Muni, who was always staying in Dwarka as his base because he wanted to see Krishna. And he was reporting to Vasudeva the conversation that Nimi was creating a fire yagya to Vishnu, Yagyapati. So the Navayogendras, they travel freely in the universe. They came to the fire yagya. So Nimi said, oh, this is my great chance. The sadhu's here. Let me inquire. What is Maya? So the first part of the conversation is the description of the material energy, how it is wound up and created. And then this, so that is very important. That is the illusory energy. Basic idea of illusory means it's temporary. Temporary. It's asat. It is not sat. The spiritual world is sat. The material world is asat. So that is the basic. And it is achet, ignorant. And niranand. There is no bliss. And everyone has a false rupa. In the spiritual world, everyone is Satchidananda Vigraha, serving in their swarup, ecstatically, eternally. So, Nimi was given the information, because if we understand a little bit how the Achintya Shakti has manifest even the material energy, then we can become detached. That is prerequisite. On Bhumandala is for two things: to become detached from material enjoyment and to become attached to the Supreme Lord. That's why it's so miserable. Just like people, they take drugs, a rich man or a pop star, they take drugs and they say, I have to go into rehab. I can't continue like this. So this material world is rehab from material endeavor, and then we should, by the grace of the sadhus, go to rehab by awakening our relationship, dormant relationship with Krishna. Nishya Krishna Prem, Sadhakavanai, it's there, dormant within the heart. We should do that. That is the special quality of birth in Bhumandala, and particularly Vrindavan Dham, under the guidance of Gaur Nitai. So Nimi is being given the information. Oh, it's all temporary. Look, it's manifest, then it's wound up. This is a description of the winding up. And then he will inquire and be told how I can become attached. I'm detached now from the temporary quality of the material nature. How can I become attached? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Those that chant Hare Krishna with a little Siddhanta, a little Abhideya, a little Prayojan understanding, they can easily awaken Krishna in the heart. And then they will become ecstatic and realize their relationship. So, that's Bhava Bhakti. So, that is the purpose of birth here. And you're all very fortunate because you're hearing, just like the sages at Namasharanya, about what the reality actually is. So there are many false philosophies like the Mayavadi. Oh, there's no real reality, it's all created and all this madness. No, there is a guiding force. That is the Supreme Lord, ultimately. So, and then Nimi will be given how to progress to Bhava and Prem Bhakti. So, I thought, this is the winding up. So let us look at how the creation is from the root. So I took a few notes yesterday afternoon. So that is given in the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It explains there in the very first chapter that Radha and Krishna are one. Prakriti and Purusha. Krishna is Purusha, Radha is Supreme Prakriti. They're one. But to enjoy the bliss of pastimes, they have separated themselves eternally. So that is what Mahaprabhu is directing us to meditate upon. So, absolute truth is one, but we can look at it from aspect of Purusha and Prakriti, energetic and the energy. So Prakriti is Shakti Tattva, expands to supervise, Radha ultimately supervises all the energy of Krishna. And then Krishna expands as Baladev, his Purusha expansion. So then, from the Purusha expansion is the Chatuvyuha. Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Anuruddha. So many years ago I was wondering, what are they for? So Vasudev is everything, as we said at the beginning, is Sutri Mani Gana Iva. Everything is resting not on physical laws that have been speculated upon, but upon the potency of Krishna. Sutri Mani Gana Iva. Just like your Tulsi beads are resting upon the thread. So all potencies and all expression, creation, maintenance, eternality is resting upon the Supreme Lord. So we see in the living entity, as all acharyas explain, thinking, which means consciousness. And then that consciousness feels, it perceives and interprets. Then it comes to decision on the basis of the externally perceived reality or inner reality. And then there is action. So those four aspects, distinct aspects, three are to do with consciousness, and then one is action in terms of one's physical manifestation. Vasudeva supervises the consciousness. He's the deity, you remember in the purport. And then feeling is under Shankarshan. That, like we say, that's interpretation of perception. And then Pradyumna is, I'm coming to a decision about this. What should I do? Oh, I'm perceiving a flower. It's a beautiful flower. I decide to offer it to Radha and Krishna. So that is the purpose of Vasudeva Shankara in the spiritual world. And that same supervision of consciousness and action is there in the material world, because Shankarshan expands down to Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha to supervise the thinking, feeling, willing and decisions of the souls in the material world. So, material creation. So, in the Vishnu Puran and throughout the Vedas, it explains that Krishna has three energies. He has the Purusha and he has the Prakriti expansion, Baladev and Sri Radha. And then there is himself, but he has also created the Jiva Shakti, which has independent thought and will and action, but based on Sutrimani Gana Iva, the grace of Krishna. So that is also in the Brahma Samhita, verse number 11. Shahastra Shu. Many jivas emanate from, all the avatars emanate from Mahavishnu. Shankarshan expands down into the Pradhan. Well, actually, he creates the Pradhan. One moment. And the Jiva Shakti, they manifest in Vaikuntha, and they also Haridam, and they also manifest in Goloka for the service, respectively, in Aishwarya Bhav and Madhurya Bhav. And then Shankarshan also manifests jivas within the causal ocean. That is verse number 11. Shahastra Shu. Lord Mahavishnu emanates jivas. So, Mahavishnu, we know, you've seen many times, pictures, paintings. Mahavishnu is lying on an antasesh, who is expansion of Baladev. And Lakshmi Devi, very devoted. Prakriti is always devoted to Purusha. Just like in the material world, the wife is always perfectly devoted to the husband. So she is massaging the feet of Mahavishnu, who is expanded down from Shankarshan in that second vyuha. Now, this is the very interesting point from Shastra. What is Mahavishnu doing? He's in Yoga Nidra, right? He's in mystic slumber. So, just like when we go to sleep, we may dream, right? So Mahavishnu is dreaming the material world, the expansion. And he is emanating the causal ocean, which is Karanadak ocean, which is also the Pradhan, which is the basic substance. It's mentioned there in the purport, the basic substance of matter. The Pradhan, this is also called the Viraja river. It is the border between the spiritual creation and the material manifestation. So Mahavishnu is dreaming the Pradhan. But the important point is, and this is how we can understand the material forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord. In the spiritual creation, the energy, the Chit Shakti manifest by Sri Radha has so many varieties, but it is all under Yogamaya, Purnamasi, and it automatically puts the Jiva souls in remembrance. But Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra. So just like we're following as above, so below, when we sleep, what do? We forget ourself, our identity, we can say. So this is based on the Leela of Mahavishnu. When he enters into mystic slumber, he is in a state of self-forgetfulness. We have to contemplate these things. Of course, he is not in ignorance, but it is his Leela. And so the Chit Shakti, which is his Prakriti, is emanated with a particular adjective, forgetfulness, tama. This is not tamagun, this is tama, a kind of forgetfulness of the self. So therefore the pradhan turns into all the varieties of material nature, but because they are manifest from the root, the pradhan, they all carry the quality of tama. So the living entities that choose, having emanated from Mahavishnu, to go into the material energy, they are focused on this material energy, and this element of tama is there in the material situation, and it enters their consciousness, and so they become forgetfulness of the Supreme Self. Do you understand this point? The Chit Shakti in the spiritual world reminds you automatically. The material energy in all its variegatedness makes us forget. So, the Supreme Lord, and then we enjoy. So, the aim of human life is to overcome this tama by what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, what is Mahavishnu? We're continuing at the creation now. Mahavishnu, he awakens from slumber and he glances at the embodied material energy, ultimately expanded from Sri Radha, Durga Devi, or Parvati, or whatever, better to say Durga Devi. Durga means difficult to go. Also in spiritual world, Radha is also called Durga, because they're in the Chit Shakti, so it's very difficult to go out of the spiritual world. But in the material world, it's very Durga, the goddess of the material energy, it's very difficult to go out of the material energy. Do you understand this point? Because Tama is infested into the material creation. We shouldn't say infested. It is there by benediction, because Mahavishnu is fulfilling the desires of the Jiva Shakti to control and enjoy in the material energy in forgetfulness. So he's facilitating their decision there, which is Aniruddha, supervised by Aniruddha. So then this glance contains the conditioned living entities. It contains the Kala Shakti, which is manifestation under Lord Shiva. It contains the desires of the living entities. Because previously, as Mahavishnu inhales, the whole creation goes back into him, and then as he exhales, he creates again. So, the material energy, the embodiment is ultimately Durga, Shakti Tattva, and this creates the Mahatattva. The desires of the living entities that were previously conditioned and went into Mahavishnu, they come out with all their particular desires in their consciousness, reminded by the grace of Mahavishnu ultimately. And then they enter with the Kala Shakti, who is Lord Shiva. Shiram Yata Dadivikari Vishesha Yoga. You can study Brahma Samhita. So this Kala Shakti, like we see in the temples, that is the lingam. That represents the glance of Mahavishnu, contains the Kala Shakti, and it is surrounded by the yoni. So Mahavishnu doesn't actually touch the material energy, but through his expansion, Lord Shiva, the Kala Shakti, the Jivas interact with the womb of material nature. Now Lord Shiva, also mentioned there, he is the deity of Ahankara. Ahankara, false ego. I am this material body and so on, as me and mine, I will enjoy the material energy in this way, that way. I will control and enjoy. So, this glance contains the potency of Lord Shiva. So out of the Mahatattva, the great causal truth, Mahatattva, the first emanation, we can say, or manifestation, is Ahankara. Ahankara in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. And they then create in subtle form the basic elements from the Pradhan. Those material modes, Ahankara, which were mentioned here as white, red, passion, and ignorance. White is. So, the first is in mode of goodness. That creates the element manas. Manas is the mind. It is the element of the mind. The mind, we have mind. What is that? Prakriti stani kashati, that we're struggling with the mind, the 11th sense. And it is the container of consciousness. So we are spirit souls within the mind, and the mind is containing our emanated consciousness, and so on and so forth. That is manas. But then the next one is mode of passion, ahankara. That creates or emanates the mode of buddhi. Buddhi is the controller of the mind. Just like we're driving down the road and we see a buffalo there, with our intelligence we think, I'd better not go near that buffalo because he's not moving. So we use intelligence to control the manas, the consciousness, which is within the manas. And then, as mentioned here, mode of ignorance is manifest. So mode of ignorance then creates shabda. That was also mentioned. This is in reverse. I'm giving you the manifestation. You can study this later. So shabda is vibration, form. So what is that vibration acting upon? It is acting upon the pradhan to create in consecutive form ether, air, fire, water, and earth. I'll explain that now. So, Shabda is acting upon the Pradhan. Just like you have a chalkboard and you write upon it. You write apple. So the Pradhan is like the chalkboard and the Shabda is like that writing. You're exerting onto the chalkboard a certain word. You're manifesting. So Shabda is creating ether by interacting with the base substance, pradhan. Now this and then by the will of the Supreme, and you can read this in, is mentioned there, 3rd canto, verse 26, Devahuti and Kapil Dev, fundamental principles of material nature. That gives the manifestation idea. So, ether, but it's important. This is why I say at the beginning, everything is resting upon the potency and decision of the Supreme Lord. So, Shabda creates ether, because sound, vibration, must have a medium. So, ether is there. And then ether, by again, the will of the Supreme Potency, creates hearing. Because there's sound, and then there's the receiver of sound. The ear, the sense, the auditory sense. So you have Shabda, ether, hearing. Now, this is chapter 26, 3rd canto. Then ether and hearing, now that creates touch or feeling. Just like when we hear good music, we think, oh, we get a feeling. So the combination of ether and the auditory sense under the supervision by the will of the Supreme creates touch or feeling. And then feeling needs its medium and air, because we feel through our tactile sense, which resides in the skin and throughout our body. So, and then skin is produced to contain the subtle tactile sense. You cut blood supply or consciousness, which is contained with the manas, from the skin, you can't feel anything. So then ether and hearing, air and touch. What do we, when I touch this, I feel the form, right? So the next, by combining air and touch, form is created by the will of the Supreme, manifest. He's the creator, he's the designer on his potency. Form needs a fire, so then fire is manifest from form. So we cannot see air, we cannot see ether, but we can see fire. It is the manifestation of form. It's the basic form of the universe. And then the perceptual sense is created within the element of I, the knowledge acquiring sense. They're manifest, we'll discuss that in a minute. So the I then, and the perceptual sense is combined with fire, and we look at a form and we think, oh, that's a beautiful sunset. So we have a certain sense of taste. That's nice. Oh, that's ugly. That's beautiful. It's harmonious. So then taste manifests. Taste needs a medium, and that is water. Water is perceived, or liquid. You see, if something is dry, you can't taste it, right? Dry rice or something, even very little taste. So the sense of taste, that's called the olfactory sense, I believe. No, that's the smell. But the sense of taste is manifest in the tongue. And then water and tongue, they combine to smell. It's like we taste something, and then this smell, this is good. And then smell needs a medium, and then that is earth. And then earth is perceived by the sense of smell. So that's the way it all kind of cascades down. And these senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, they are also an interaction of the mode of passion, the buddhi. These are knowledge acquired, they're called jnanindriyas. They are indriyas that create perception of the material element within our consciousness by the supervision, ultimately, of Mahavishnu, Supersoul, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Right? Now, we also have manifest 5, because 11 senses, if you remember, were mentioned. So there's the manas, the 5 hearing senses, touch, and so on. But we also have what's called kamendriyas, working senses. They are manifest through the prana of the body. Prana means the energy, the life energy, which is based on having a good sushumna. The soul interacts with the body, it energizes the body. And then we have the voice. Voice is related to the first one, speaking, right? Ether, sound. With our voice we create sound. Then the next one, kamendriyas, is the voice. Is arms. Now where do the arms move? They move within the air. This is how you can remember. And then the next kamendriya to manifest is the digestion. What do we say? Oh, I've got a good fire of digestion. So this is related to the fire element. And then the next is the water. That is related to the genital, male or female. It's an exchange of fluids, which also include the other elements. So the genital is related to the element of water. It is an exchange of fluid in sexuality and so on and so forth. And then the next Kamendriya is the legs. Where do they stand? On the earth. So you can remember those things. The 5 elements, they are all related. They're the 11 senses within which we find ourselves. So, as it described here, when the time for dissolution, annihilation, what happens is the exact reverse of what I've just... The darkness, first there is hot sun, like hotter than this year, and then there is torrents of rain, and then darkness, the sun has disappeared, and then the element of smell is gone from earth, the element, then it goes back into water, the element of taste is gone from water, then the element of sight goes from fire, so there's no fire, then the element of touch, then the element of hearing is gone. So the gross elements go back into their origin. They go back into ahankara. All those manifested from mode of ignorance go back into ahankara. All those manifest from mode of passion, they go into ahankara and passion, and the manas and the mind is gone. And then the spirit soul, if he is not to be liberated, but he still desires, he goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So this is the Mahapralaya. There is also, at the end of day of Brahma, there is partial devastation up to Swargaloka, but that's a different thing. So that's it. And that's what it's talking about. So it manifests down, and then it goes back in the opposite way. And so this is what was all told in reverse order to King Nimi by who are the Naviyogendras? By Narada Muni telling Vasudeva, the Naviyogendras, they are manifest from the children of Rishabdev, who is non-different personality. He had 100 sons. Mahabharat, you know the story. Maharaj, he went to the forest, he became attached to a deer, then he became Jadbharat, he became finally liberated. So, of the 100 sons, Bharat was completely devoted to Narayan. He had that problem with the deer, but we should remember that as the saying goes, failure is the pillar of success. So Krishna he's not interested if we have a trouble, but we just keep trying. But don't be an aparadi. He doesn't mind pop. He doesn't like aparadis. So the Naviyogendras, they are the great yogis that travel all over the universe. Kavya, Harvya, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Apilana, Avya, Hotra, Drumila, Kamasa, Karabhajan. So that means 90 remaining sons. So 99 Kshatriyas were manifest from those 100 sons, and they looked after the 9 Dvipas of Bharatvash. So that leaves 81. And they became Yagya Brahmins, second qualified Brahmins, and they taught the Kshatriyas Karma Kanda. So you might, why aren't they teaching Sanatana Dharma? Why are they teaching Karma? So the Kshatriyas, they have to deal with the material energy, so they perform yagyas to Vishnu to make Dharma, Artha, Kama available. And within that format, Sanatana Dharma can be practiced. And that is the business of the Naviyogendras. So do you follow the 100, how the plan works? So there's 9 o'clock. So we finished exactly on time. So that is some elements. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So now you know everything about the material energy. You just chant Hare Krishna here, Shravana. Within that, you perform Sanatana Dharma and go back to Godhead and There's no tama there. You will automatically be in ecstasy. You will be achyuta, like Krishna. Look, we'll ask for one quick question. Any question? Clarification? Yes. Brave man. Don't tell the managers.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you for explaining this purport very nicely. My question is, how Naga sadhus, by chanting some mantras, they create fire in the air?
Yeah, your voice is not clear.
Pardon?
How is this that?
How do Naga sadhus, by chanting some mantras, create fire in the air?
How do
Nagas,
sadhus
Nagas.
Sadhus, they create fire in the air by chanting some mantras.
Well, if you actually become a tapasvi and you actually get the grace of Krishna, you develop all mystic power. Because from a liberated position, Krishna may invest you with certain potencies. Do you understand? That is according to the desire. But Lord Chaitanya has come to teach, don't desire any mystic powers, don't desire any gyan, don't desire any karma. Just become ahoitiki bhakti. Savepum samparo dharmo yato bhakti radhoksaja ahoitiki apratiyata yadma suprasidati. That is Bhagavatam. Ahoitiki bhakti means no material desire. I don't want to develop the power to fly in the sky and burst fire when I like. Krishna can give you that if that's what you want. If you perform tapasya for that purpose, that is klim. Klim is the root of all desire. So those people that meditate on klim with material desire and perform austerities, they can be satisfied by this. But the devotee meditates on klim and he gets love of Godhead because he is ahoitiki. He's without material desire. Apratiyata. He is completely engaged, chobis kanta, in yagya. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji. Yagya. Devotee performs yagya. I get up in the morning, I take bath, it's yagya. I chant Hare Krishna, it's yagya. I come to Bhagavatam class and here it's yagya. I chant my Gayatris, I meditate on the form of Guru Tattva, Chaitanya Tattva, Radha Krishna Tattva. I Padasevanam. I meditate upon service to Krishna. I have no separate interest than his service. You understand? This is apratiyata. So we are yogyavadis. Mayavadis see illusion. We see a chance to perform activity. That is sadhana bhakti. We are intelligently, Buddha yoga, turning everything as an offering to Krishna. This will be later. King Nimi will be told, you do everything as an offering. And then mam namaskaru. What is that means pay obeisances to me. How? Not just in the temple, but in the heart of all living beings. Krishna resides within the heart as Paramatma or Shamsundar for those properly initiated. And he also resides as Mama Angsa Jiva Loke. So mam namaskaru, that will come in chapter 29. The best way to realize Krishna, Uddhava is told, is to realize me in the heart of all living beings. That's so the Vaishnav, mam namaskaru, number 4, manmana bhavama, he always respects all living beings. Because they have Krishna. There's a philosophical reason. And that is the best way. Sometimes the sahajiyas, they jump up, oh, I want to meditate upon Radha Krishna in Golok. No, you're a sadhaka. Realize Krishna here and now in the heart of all living beings. Do you think that your meditation, you can burst into the Leela of Krishna by your meditation? Such pride. No, mam namaskaru. You have to be invited. You don't burst in by meditating. You have to be invited. So always remember that. Mam namaskaru trinada peace and iche na, Lord Chaitanya. Give respect to everyone, but don't expect it. You're in the material world. Expect to be treated badly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. I hope you got something. It's all from Shastra. Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Gaur Nitai Radha Krishna Lalit Vishaka Sadhu Sangha Ke Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.